Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to do the Erik Johannson Street Reflection Project. First thing we do is go to masconometdigitalphotography.com, navigate to Minor Projects Quarter 4 or Minor Projects Quarter 2 if it's a first semester course, and we scroll down till we see this. And this is the, the finished Erik Johannson version of it, and this is a image similar to the angle of the street that I'm going to use to do it. So the first thing I do is click on the picture in order to save it correctly, and I do a control click and save image as. Notice when I do that, the dialog box comes up and it has the extension ORIG, which tells me that this is the original file, full version resolution. Okay, so I'm going to close that down. I'm going to take my browser down and I'm going to take the ORIG3 and I'm going to drag it into Photoshop and it will boot. Okay, so in order to do this, the first thing I need to do is to create the reflection that's going to show up in the street. So to do that, I navigate to my polygon lasso tool and I'm going to start at the bottom left corner and I'm going to try to make a selection around, the reason I'm using the polygon is because these are mostly straight lines, around all the doorways and all the way to the end of the last building, about here. And I'm going to navigate across. Then I'm going to go straight up all the way to the left, all the way back down, and close my selection here. Then I'm going to do an edit copy and an edit paste, or I could do Command C, Command V. When I do that, notice that it made a new layer with just that selection in it. So I'm going to take that layer, I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and Flip Vertical, which then puts a version of the reflection. And notice it's lining up with all of the vertical posts and whatnot. So in order to make it look correct, I need to do something called skew. So I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and Skew, and I'm going to grab the middle bar here, and I'm going to pull it straight up. And I'm going to bring this down, this corner, and I'm going to bring this up again until it matches the same angle as the curb right here. And then I'm going to pull it up a little bit and make sure we get the whole thing over the curb. That looks good. I hit return to apply that. Then I'm going to take my rectangular marquee tool and I'm just going to grab the part of the reflection that is straight ahead that would not be skewed. This looks correct here, this does not. So I'm going to go ahead and reskew that back down and put it about here. And again, I hit return to transform it, and I'm going to deselect by hitting select deselect, or I could do Command D. Okay, so it looks pretty good. One of the things that looks like it could be better is this area here. If you notice underneath this layer, there's a curb and a little bit of a gutter that has a shadow in it. And I'm not really seeing all of it because some of my reflection is covering that. So to fix that, I'm going to take the opacity down of the reflection layer so that I can see where the curve starts. And I'm going to take my eraser tool. I'm going to make it about a half hardness and about, but much less, about 30 pixels or so. And then I'm going to start to just erase the reflection layer to show the shadow of the little curb and gutter underneath it. And I'm going to do this zooming in relatively close so I get a good edge. So let's put the opacity back up for a little bit. What do I got? Yep, so that's working pretty good. I'm going to make the brush smaller by hitting the left bracket on the keyboard. And we're going to erase all this all the way to the back of the gutter and curb. And I'm going to back off, and that looks pretty good. Also on this side, you'll notice that there is also a sidewalk right here that goes from that area to this area, and I want to erase the part of the reflection that's over the sidewalk also. So I'm going to start here. Let's make the brush a little bigger for this one. And go right along the sidewalk all the way up to where it ends about there. I'm going to make even less opacity because it's hard to see through that where the foliage part is. So we're going to take away all of the reflection that's on the sidewalk all the way up there. And I just erase all of this. And let's see, did we get most of it? Okay. A little bit more right here. Kind of sculpt the edge to see if we can get right to the edge of the corner of the of that sidewalk there. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to rename this because I'm going to start adding a couple of layers. So I'm going to call that layer reflection. The background is default background, and I'll make a new layer by clicking on this tab, and I'm going to call this one lines. On my lines layer, I'm going to take the polygon lasso tool again, and starting from up here, I'm going to drag, I'm going to get that a little bit further. I'm going to drag a line, down a, sorry, all right, down to about here, and then we're going to bring it back up to here, and I'm going to do something called a stroke. I'm going to go to Edit, Stroke, and put a 1 pixel black stroke. Click OK, and then a deselect, and then I'm going to do another one from about the same area, put that here, bring that to here, and bring that one back up to here. And we're going to do another edit stroke. 1 pixel black, deselect. Now I'm going to take my rectangular marquee tool and I'm going to make another square selection that goes about here. And again, edit stroke, 1 pixel black stroke, and then another last one right about here, edit stroke. Okay, so I'm trying to create the illusion of lines cut into the reflection, making it into like little mirrors. Okay, then I'm going to take the eraser tool, and on the lines layer, I'm going to erase the lines where they wouldn't show up, which is on the sidewalk. I just want them on the reflection area. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to go over here, take away that one, this one, and we'll finish up over here. Then I'm going to get rid of these ones because they wouldn't be across the street. They're just in the area that's reflected, which is about to there. Now to make it look a little more realistic, I'm going to take my eraser, bring the opacity way down to like 15. Use the right bracket to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to just tap on these ones back here a little bit to let them fade away a little bit, sort of fade out. They're not going to be as dark and commanding over in the back as they are in the front. So I'm just going to let it kind of fade down to none. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, now I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to take my magic wand tool and I'm going to click in one of these little squares, rectangles. And when I do that, it selects, it's basically what I'm telling it to do is select inside of here. But then I'm going to change my layer to the reflection layer. Notice that this is still selected, but now it's on the reflection layer. And I'm going to Command X, which is to cut, and Command V, which is to paste. I'm going to paste that little rectangle in a different area. So it looks like it's been cut out of here and pasted into here. Now, this reflection is obviously of one of the windows, but it's hard to see what's over here, so it potentially could be something that's either up here or over there, depending on the angle that I put this at. Then I'm going to go to my reflection layer, go to the FX panel, and do a drop shadow. And I'm going to put a drop shadow kind of, since the light's coming from right to left, I'm going to make the light coming from right to left. And notice it puts a little bit of a shadow. I don't want it to be too big, maybe just 5 pixels and a spread of like 5. I don't want it to be too big. I just want it to show that, yeah, look, there's like a little bit of space underneath this thing. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my, and this layer, which we're going to call single panel, for lack of a better idea. We'll call it panel. And we're going to also put that drop shadow on that to make it look like it's slightly lifted up. Or not necessarily lifted up, but that it's three-dimensional, that there's a little bit of a shadow underneath it. And I zoom out, and I'd say that looks pretty good. So thanks for watching, and happy Photoshopping.